For this project, as well as most other coasters, we will begin by doing what's called a magic circle. To start a magic circle, you'll start with the tail of your yarn. Take 2 fingers, and we're going to wrap them around like so. Just loosely like that, until you have an X. From there, you'll take your crochet hook and you're going to insert the crochet hook just underneath the first strand, and I'm using this thumb to hold my work in place, and then you'll go ahead and pull out the bottom strand like so, just like that. So now this is where things get a little tricky. You are going to take the working yarn and pull it back through that little loop you just formed, like so. And there you have it. You have begun your magic circle. So what we've made is an adjustable loop. Doesn't really matter at this point if this is in or out. As you can see, by pulling on this thread, this will make our loop smaller, which is what we want. The first round of this pattern requires us to make 9 double crochets inside this magic circle. Now, what is a double crochet, you might ask? Well, let me show you. So to begin, we have what appears to be 1 loop already on our crochet hook. That's what's known as the working loop. We'll go ahead and ignore that for now. So, to begin a double crochet, you will yarn over, adding an extra loop onto your hook. Then we will insert our hook into the magic circle, yarn again, pulling that yarn through, and now we have what looks to be 3 loops on our hook. So when it comes to double crochets, remember that you'll always be pulling through 2 loops at a time. So we'll go ahead and yarn over, and we'll pull that yarn through our first 2 loops. Okay, we just pulled it through the first 2. Now we will yarn over again and pull it through the remaining 2 loops. And there you have it. You've just completed your first double crochet. So now we just need to make 8 more. So again, we will yarn over, insert our hook through our magic circle, yarn again, pull the yarn out. Now we're back to having our 3 loops. We will pull through the first 2, yarn over again, and pull through the second 2. And there we have completed our second double crochet. Now we just need to make 7 more. Yarn over, insert, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. There's our third. Yarn over, insert, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And there's our 4. And you can count how many you've done by looking at the top. You can see those little V shapes. Those are each of our stitches that we have done so far. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's go ahead and make 5 more. Okay, so as you can see right here, it looks like I just split my yarn. So what we'll do, this is a learning moment, I'll go ahead and I will just pull on the working thread, undo that one, and I'll just have to redo it. That happens every now and then. Okay, let's see, do I have 8 or 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And last one is 9. Okay, so now we have made all 9. Now here's the fun part. We get to close our round by tightening our magic circle. Aha. Okay, now to see exactly where we need to join this half with that, we'll go back and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that is our 9th. So we'll go ahead and do what's called slipping to join, where we will insert our needle just underneath that 9th loop. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull our working yarn through all 3 of the loops that we see here. So we're going to pull it through those 2 and also pull it through this 3rd. And there we go. Go ahead, pull on your tail of your magic circle as tight as you can, and you have just completed your first round. From here, if you'd like, you can trim your tail just to keep it out of the way while you're going. Not all of it, because we'll want to thread it through so it doesn't unravel our work at the end. To begin our next round, we'll go ahead and chain 1. Just 1 chain, there we go. And so last time we did 9 double crochets. This time we are going to do 2 double crochets per every stitch we have. That will give us 18 total by the end. So each one of these, just underneath, we will be doing 2 double crochets. Let me show you what that looks like. Okay, we'll go ahead, yarn over. There's our first stitch. We'll go ahead and insert just through there, just through our first. Yarning over again, pulling through, yarning over, pull through 2, yarning over, pull through 2. Okay, there's 1. We'll go ahead and do 2. There's the second. Okay, so that is 2 double crochets just in the first stitch. And we're doing 2 double crochets per stitch for a total of 18 at the end of round 2. Okay, so the next stitch, we'll have 2 more double crochets. There's 1. And there's 2. And it'll just continue like that until the end of the round. There's 1. There's 2. Spreading them apart makes it easier, and you can see exactly what you've done so far. Just a tip. All right, and I will meet you at the end when I get there. Okay, I think I might be finished. Let me go ahead and count to see how many stitches I've got. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18, yes. Okay, I'll go ahead and insert to join the 18th stitch. Just like before, inserted, and then I'll go ahead and pull the working yarn back through all 3 of those. And there we have round 2. Now round 3 is going to be the exact same as round 2. To begin, we will go ahead and chain 1, just like that. And now we will do 2 double crochets per every crochet we've done. So that should result in a total of 36. 36? Yes, 36. Okay. So for the first one, we'll go ahead, insert. By now, we should all be getting the hang of our double crochets. Okay, so there's our first 2 done. Next one. Two. And it'll just be like that until the end of the round. Just once again, doing 2 double crochets per stitch. All right, and I believe these are going to be the last 2 for this round. All right. And it looks like it's already beginning to lay pretty flat, so that's good. We have just completed our 3rd round. What we will be doing for the 4th round is we will be alternating between doing 2 and doing 1 double crochet in each stitch. So let me show you what that looks like. So we went ahead and chained 1 already. I'll go ahead and undo that and redo that just for fun. There we go. Now, for the very first stitch that we'll do, we will do 2. So we'll go ahead, do our yarn over, inserting in our first. There's 1, and now here's our second. Okay, so we just did 2 double crochet. Now for the next stitch, we will only do 1 double crochet. Insert yarn over, and pull through. There's our 1. Now we'll go back to doing 2. There's 1 and 2. Okay, so see, we have 2, 1, and 2. And you'll continue that pattern until the end of the round. 2, 1, 2. So we have 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And you'll just continue doing this until the end of the round, and I will meet you when I get there. Okay, and I believe this is my last one. Let's see. Okay. I would think that was it. But I will go back, and I should at this point have 50 to 52 stitches. Anywhere between there is fine. And it would seem I have exactly 50, which works out. If you have anywhere from 50 to 52, that is fine. So I have just completed the 4th row I have what appears to be a almost complete coaster. If I'd like, I could stop here and I'd have a pretty handsome coaster, but we will be taking it one step further. So for this round, we will begin by chaining 1. And for the 5th round, we will not be doing any double crochets. We will be doing single crochets around the edge. So let me show you what that looks like. So begin by just simply inserting your hook into the first stitch. No yarning over. We'll just insert, then yarn over, pulling through, and then yarning over once again and just pulling through those 2 loops. And that's that. That's a single crochet. So we will do 5 to begin. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we'll be doing something different. After the 5th stitch, you will chain 5. So what chaining looks like is this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now we've added a chain of 5 onto our coaster. Now why did we do that? Well, what we'll do now is rejoin that chain of 5 right in the stitch that we started with, that 5th stitch. So we will just simply reinsert our hook and slip to join. So what I like to do is I like to pinch right down here. We see the 3 strands of yarn that we will be pulling this yarn through. So I will pinch it and pull our working yarn back through, pull that to tighten it, and there we go. Now what we've just done is create a sort of a little loop, and we will find out what those are for the next round. But for now, we will create these loops every 5 stitches. So we just made that first one. Now let's go ahead and do 5 more single crochets, inserting in the next one. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now, just like the last one, we will chain our 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, count twice, stitch once. And just like before, we'll go back, insert through our original 5th stitch, and simply slip to join. And that's that. We've created our second little loop. And now we'll do our next set of 5, and it continues from that pattern. It continues just like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, Inserting to join. All right. And by the time you are done, I believe we should have 10 of these little loops at the end. And I will meet you when I get there. Okay, so I just finished my last little loop. We should have 10 now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 3 more single crochets just so I can get to the halfway point between these 2 little loops. So I'm just going to insert and do 3 single crochets real quick. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So now that we are halfway between our 2 loops, we will be beginning our final round of the pattern. To do this, we will be doing, in every single loop, we will be doing 10 double crochets. And this will create a sort of petal-like effect. So let me show you what that looks like. So for our double crochets, as we know, yarn over, and this is a bit of a stretch, but you'll get the hang of it. Insert into our loop, and then just do it like a regular double crochet, pulling through 2, yarning over, pulling through 2. Now that looks a bit awkward, but just trust the process. And we'll be doing 10 of these, but 5 first. So that was our first, this is our second, and then our third, our fourth, and finally our fifth. Okay, so now you have just completed 5 double crochets. So now what you will do is chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. And now we will create a smaller loop at the tip of our petal by rejoining right there. You should see a sort of diagonal where there are 2 strands right there. Yes. That is where you will be reinserting. Boop, just like that. And then pulling this thread through these 3. Just like so. And there you've created a tiny little loop at the top of your petal. But from here, we still have 5 more double crochets to do down the side. So let's get back to those. So from here, we'll just continue like before, yarning over, inserting, pulling through, yarning over, pulling through 2, pulling through 2, and that's another double crochet. So now 4 more. Six, 8. So we have 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yep. 4, and our last one. And 5. Aha! So now you can kind of see it. So where we'll rejoin is going to be once again the middle point between those 2 loops. And since there are 5, it will be the third. And you can kind of just eyeball it, honestly. That is where the third is, right boop, there. And we're simply slipping to join, just like that. So now you can see we have created our first petal. There will be a sort of a gap here. That's just part of the pattern. And then we have a little loop at the end. So we will be making 10 of those total in each one. This is the part that takes probably the longest, but it is the very last round of our pattern. So let me go ahead and walk you through what another one of those petals looks like. So again, it is 10 double crochets per loop, but after the first 5, you chain 3 to make that little tip of the petal. So, beginning again. There's our 1. 2. 3. 4. And 5. Okay, 5 done. Now it's time to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And this is the benefit of having different colored yarn. It makes it a little bit easier to see those 2 loops that we'll be joining this into. It's going to be right there. So our 1 and 2. Okay. That last little one. Okay. There we go. And then we just have our remaining 5. Oop. 1. 2. 3. 4. And 5. Okay, so now that we've completed again, find the middle stitch between those 2 loops. Go. And petal number 2 is complete. And you'll simply continue that just all the way until the end. And I will meet you when I get there. Okay, I have reached the final half of my final petal. So I only have now 4 double crochets left until the end. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'll go ahead and slip to join. And with that, I have completed my coaster. Well, almost completed. The final step, snip the tail. Now to tie a knot to finish your piece, what we have is we have a loop around our hook, and to tie this into a knot, we will simply pull our tail back through our loop, like so, and that is it, and then just pull it and tighten it. And from here, this is where our tapestry needle comes in. If you'd like to flip it over to the back, now you see we have 2 tails. We have our original from the magic circle, and we have our final one. So you have 2 choices here. if you'd like, you could simply tie these together and then flip over your piece where no one will ever see the bottom, and ta-da, you are finished. Or, if you're like me and these tails would probably just irritate you, you can thread them through your work. So this, our final, is not secured with a knot. It is not super common for this to unravel, but if you'd like that extra sense of security, you can tie that into a knot. And then thread it through. I like to twist it so that it rolls tight. And then just goes boop, right through. And as you can see, this tail is too short to thread even. So I'm going to do a little hack, threading it backwards. Sometimes you can do that, or you can actually use the blunt end of your needle to thread through. I wouldn't recommend it, but desperate times call for desperate measures. From there, at least now it's underneath an additional thread. You can trim it, call it there. This one is quite a bit longer, it should be much easier. I don't particularly have a strategy when I go through and I weave in my ends. I just try to make it look somewhat discreet. But unless you're afraid somebody will be investigating the bottom of your coasters anytime soon, you don't have too much to worry about with this. This is mainly just for a sense of security so it doesn't come unraveled. All right. With that, I will just trim it. And now for the most part, who would know? There we go. And with that, we have completed our coaster. Woohoo! Well, thank you so much for following along with me for this video. I hope you had a great time making a crocheted coaster, and I hope you join me for the next craft. Happy crafting!